morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition to our Mortgage Mondays. I'm here with my co-host, Jeff Mejia from Obsidian Financial Services. Jeff, I think we're going to take a little bit of a different take on this. I know for the last few weeks, we've been kind of talking about, specific topics. But there's so much going on within the mortgage industry right now. I thought we should take a little bit of time to address what's happening. What do you think? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, let's tackle it. It's definitely, this ever-changing world that we live in with, especially in the finance. It seems like every day is a new obstacle or a nuance that gets brought into the marketplace. So let's go for it.
So let's tackle the elephant in the room, right? I know a few weeks ago there was a little bit of an uptick in mortgage rates, right? As a lender, on the lender side of it, what is your perspective on that?
Well, there was an uptick in rates for refinances. It seems like Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac saw this thing getting out of control. And in this mortgage industry, anybody who knows the big players like the UWMs, which is one of the biggest players in the wholesale division, wholesale world, they ran out of money about a month ago. They literally flat out just ran out of money. They had files on the pipeline that they couldn't even fund. And they ended up getting a humongous billions of dollars funded to them by a different source that put them back in business. But on the street, the money was drying up. A lot of the lenders who have warehouse lines, their warehouse lines were being tapped out. So when you notice like a UWM or a PRMG, for example, you send a file as a broker, for example, to PRMG. PRMG right now is 33 days in underwriting.
Right.
Why are they? It's not because it's taken them 33 days to underwrite the file. They put themselves that because what happens is as they close these loans, they got to get it off their line so that money becomes back available.
All right.
So that's how they.
Let me just jump in here a little bit because there's a lot of things that people may not understand about what's going on. We're not saying that there's no money out there to fund these loans. That's not what we're saying, people.
Yeah, no, that's not what we're saying.
I don't want that to be misconstrued, right?
True.
We're definitely not saying that, right? What we are saying is because of the spike in the amount of loans that are being given and how much time it's being taken, that it's taking a little bit longer. That's what we're saying. And that they have to account for all these new loans being given, right? Because it's not a normal, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's not a normal mortgage market for you right now.
Well, I mean, when was the last time that anybody could say that they saw the rates in the high twos or in the twos period?
Ever.
The last time that we had I'm going to age myself here, but the last time that we had a true refinance boom was post 9/11.
Right.
That's when they lowered. That's when our infrastructure financially was basically flat on its face. And within 3 or 4 weeks, this government realized that we needed to do something to jumpstart the economy. They started lowering the interest rate. They started playing with prime. Next thing you know, you had a refinance boom, sort of to what we're dealing with now. But obviously, the rates at that time were much, much higher than what they are today.
So we see that there was an uptick, and you clarified, and thank you for that it was more on the refinance side, right? So and we're seeing a lot of new home purchases. Are you seeing more refinances than you are on new home purchases? Just,
No. I was actually just reading an article last week where the National Builders Association saw an increase of like 28% in home building. So building, purchases and new construction is up tremendously.
Right.
From a lender's perspective, it's really hard to say. I think we're seeing a lot of refinances as well, because you're taking people that last year you closed at 3.75, 4%, whatever the case may be, depending on the credit score and the criteria, and you can now offer them a point and a quarter, point and a half lower on their mortgage, which is significant when you're talking about a 300. Your average loan amount's $325,000.
Right. So it's still, the market, we're seeing the surge in all the properties being sold, the lack of inventory. Are you finding it harder to get to process these loans for you guys over at Obsidian?
No, it's not so much it's not so much that we're having difficult or having a harder time to process. It's that there's only so many appraisers out in the streets. And that's what's really causing the backlog, is that you order an appraisal typically before this madness, if you want to call it. You order an appraisal on a Monday and they were scheduling it by no later than Wednesday afternoon. Now you order on a Monday and you're lucky if they schedule it by that Thursday, because they're just that bombarded. So it's the appraisals that are taking a little longer than expected. Underwriting times are still, for us, we have more than enough capacity with the employees and the manpower and the underwriters that we're still within, 2 to 3, maybe 4 days in underwriting. And we do have the ability to put a rush on things if we need to, obviously, but we don't want to say everything, because then everybody starts sending you rush files and and then you don't have a life to go home to. Right. But for the most part, we're between 3 to 4 business days in underwriting right now, which is still fabulous in this marketplace.
So for us on the retail side, when where we as agents are buying and selling, the problem is not the buyers that we're having, right? Because there's plenty of buyers out there. It's the limited amount of inventory. And we're starting to see that properties are selling for list price, over list price. I mean, people are getting very aggressive in their offerings right now from what I've seen, right? How does that affect the lending side, or does it even affect the lending side of it?
Well, the good thing from the lending side is we're going to give a fair evaluation to the property from an appraiser's perspective. Obviously, I'm not the appraiser, but these appraisers are going to go out there and they're going to give it a fair value. Whether that value meets the criteria or the set price on the contract, or if it doesn't. Now, obviously, once, and I'll give you an example. John Doe is buying a property. He went in and the property was listed at $400,000. He wanted the property really bad. He offered $415,000. Appraiser comes back at $400,000. Mm-hmm. John Doe says, I'm going to put the difference because I want this property, because he knows the lack of inventory that's out there. So now what does that do for the next buyer? Well, now you have a comparable that's there for $415,000. So that's how this market is ever just doing this. And, people talk about the marketplace. When they talk about the marketplace, they talk as a whole in the United States. But I've always said South Florida and Florida in general is a whole different animal. Right. You can't compare. I'm sorry to say, but you cannot compare a Ferrari to a Nissan Sentra. It just doesn't compare.
Yeah. Well, I say it all the time because as you know, I'm also a real estate instructor. So I say it all the time, even in all my classes, that, South Florida, Florida in general, not South Florida specifically, but Florida in general, fastest growing state in the country. There are more people wanting to be here than anywhere else. This market is phenomenal right now for us as agents, from what I've seen, right? If you're in real estate, this is a great time to be in it, right? That's just my opinion, right?
No, but I share the same opinion you have, Larry.
But let me preface that with, you got to work hard for it too. You know what I mean? It's not going to just fall in your lap. You do have to put in the work for it. There are some things that I've been hearing and rumblings, and people are telling me, I had some customers of mine the other day say that they're going to wait for the real estate market to crash. And to me, they've been waiting on this for the last 5 years, right? So I've been hearing the same song and dance every day for the last 5 years, right? And it just seems every year, it's going to be next year. Oh, it's going to be 3 months from now. And then 3 months, it's going to be next year. It's every quarter. And look, I was taught a long time ago, if you keep saying something's going to happen, eventually you're going to be right? Look, a broken clock is right twice a day, right? It's just what it is. So what are your thoughts on that from what you've seen, your experience in the market? And this is just really an opinion question, right? That I'm asking you. So what do you think about it?
Well, to add to what you were saying, I guess, if you will, every time that I hear that quite often. I hear it because, opinion is driven by the media. And obviously somebody's out walking their dog, and next thing you know, the guy who's a carpenter becomes a real estate expert. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, this market's going to crash on April 22nd of 2021. So just hold on there, guy. Wait a minute. And I tell the people, good luck with that. Yeah. Good luck. Because what's going to happen is instead of you sitting there jumping, listen, this is moving. It doesn't take a rocket science to see what's going on in Florida. Okay. Right. I can't speak for any other states. Obviously, we lend in 20 different states, and I can tell you those, but they're different. Each state is different. You go up to Cleveland, well, the home values are at $115,000.
Right, right.
So for the people that are on the fence, that are saying that they're waiting for this bubble, this mysterious bubble that we're in that's going to pop, no, it's not going to pop. What's going to happen is you're going to realize 12 months later, you're going to pay about $40,000 or $50,000 more for the home that you should have bought today.
Right. Because your lending criteria is still pretty strict, isn't it?
We lend. I mean, our criteria is FHA, conventional.
Right. No. What I mean is, because the reason I asked that is because the last time we saw these type of numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Value wise, property selling within 7, 14, 15 days, less than 30 days.
Early 2000s.
Right. And it was the fact, not all of it, but it had some things to do with the fact that the criteria for lending were not as strict.
May I say something, Larry? we can't compare what we're facing today or what we're in today.
That's where the point I was trying to get.
We cannot compare today to what it was 2000, and I'm going to give you a very example why. Yes, the lending criteria are much different now. Back in those days, they had every program.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just about anybody could get a mortgage back then. And the reason why was because our economy was going at such a high pace that nobody, the Goldman Sachs, the people that were buying these mortgage-backed securities, the companies that rated these mortgage-backed securities as A-rated when they were really B or B plus, because nobody was missing payments. The default rate was probably 0 or close to 0, which obviously had these exotic loan programs out there for people to buy.
Right.
And what happened? All of a sudden, yes, the values were going up like they're going today. And then all of a sudden, the economy hit a robust and ended up. But we don't have those programs, thank God, right now. And I don't ever foresee those programs coming back, hopefully, okay? I think the way that we are instituting the lending practices is perfect because you actually take a good look at the person, the ability to repay, and the ability of what that person, he, she, or they have taken, because you can tell when you look at someone's credit, what kind of payment habits someone has. If you have a collection with T-Mobile for $137 and you haven't paid it for 3 years and you habitually are late on your student loan or your credit card, that means you have a problem paying your debts. So a lender is going to look at you closely and say, hey, Mr. John Doe, you're asking to borrow $200,000, but you can't keep your credit card of $300 balance. You're always constantly late on your minimum payment. Why? So we're never going to get to that as far as that bubble, if you will, because again, we look at everything very symmetrical and very within the box that FHA, Fannie Mae, all the loan programs, want us to look at and underwrite with. So it's much different.
Right, and that was the point I was trying to make. There's none of this write down on a piece of paper and verify with your signature that this is how much money you make. Right, there's none of that going on right now. You still have to qualify the loan. They're still going to do the employment verification. You're still going to have to show your W-2 forms. You're still going to have to give the lender everything and every single documentation that's still needed to get that loan. And that through even this process now that this country is going through, we're still lending at that same kind of criteria, correct?
That is correct.
So when I hear people say, oh, this is just like 2008 all over again, my whole thing is the lending criteria, which paid a significant part of the 2008 crash, is not the same. So you can't compare the two, right? Correct. So I know there were other factors in going into that, right? But it's not the same. The practice of how things are done is not even the same, right? So I just wanted to clarify that with everybody. And I tend to agree with you on the fact that, if you wait 12 months, if you wait 6 months, if you wait 3 months, shoot, if you wait 7 days, that house is not there anymore right now.
Bye-bye.
I tell everybody right now, let your customers know. As soon as you go to see a house, if they like it, they need to put in that offer right away. So they need to have all their ducks in a row. They need to go see Jeff over at Obsidian and say, okay, Jeff, I need something that says that I can qualify for a loan and that I already have this loan locked in so we can get this show on the road. You're not waiting another day or 2 days, or in some cases, 7 days to get all the paperwork to you to get a pre-approval or pre-qualification or a desktop underwriting approval. You know, you're not waiting for those things. You have all your ducks in a row. And typically from what I've seen, from what my agents are telling me, is that, you know, having everything set up in that scenario, whatever the case is that you're looking at, it gives you the best opportunity. Doesn't make sure you get it, but it gives you the best opportunity to get it. So having somebody that you're in contact with you, like if you're an agent or even if you're just a home purchaser, going to see somebody like Jeff, I think is, you know, essential prior to you actually going in and putting in any offers.
One of the things, Larry, if I may interject with you, is one of the things that we do, that our company does, and I particular am a key factor of making sure we implement that, is that when we pre-approve somebody, or we're going through the pre-approval process, with that prospective buyer or prospective buyers, not only do we obviously go through everything and go line by line and explain everything, we also set the expectation of what's going on in the marketplace, because who better to tell them than us who see? I mean, we see contracts, appraisals every single day.
Right.
And I tell them, hey, look, I'm going to tell you this because for me, it may not sound like a sales pitch thing when a realtor tells you, you're going to think, oh, they're trying to push me into a property. But I'm going to tell you what's going on in the marketplace, so you're well aware where, you know, when you go to battle, I'm going to give you a helmet and tell you where to look for.
Right.
And what you're looking at is, if you find a property, and I'm telling you this from a lender who sees this, don't go home and think about it. Because when you call your realtor the next morning, she's going to tell you, I'm sorry, that property's already in a contract.
And it really
Be
is
prepared. It is. Be prepared. It's like playing with a water gun. You got to be prepared to pull the trigger and spray them, because if you don't, you miss, you're gone.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree a lot in that's happening. So Jeff, tell me, what are we expecting moving forward in this? Are we expecting, you know, things to get a little bit better with the lending timeline wise? I know you said you're still within the 30-day parameter, right? You're not having any. You're not over at Obsidian. You're not really facing. But I know that there's a bunch of other lenders that are still facing a lot of problems where they're taking a lot longer to get things done, right?
There's a lot of lenders that will tell you right now to when executing contracts to get them minimum 45 to 60 days.
Yeah, that's tough.
That thank God here, that's not the issue. And I don't foresee that being the issue with this. 30 days will get you to the closing table, unless we encounter problems on the title or something like that, or if there's appraisal issues that nobody can seem to come to an understanding. But if you give me a clean file and everything checks out, appraisal, title, 30 days you'll be at closing.
See, those are the things that people really need to know about, because whether you're working with an agent, which I always suggest you do, but if you're not and you're trying to buy a property on your own, these are things that you need to understand when you're going through this. Like you said in the beginning, you know, you're taking it from people that see these files every single day. You know, we look at these things every single day. When you're talking about a real estate professional, they're in this market. This is what they do. You know, you're not going to try to, you know, do something without the knowledge to do it with, really. So I definitely think that this was a great conversation, and I think that we covered a lot of good information. Is there anything that you want to add to this?
No, I think you covered it all, Larry. Like I said, you know, we touched upon a lot of points. I just encourage people, if they have any questions, to please feel free to reach out to us.
Right.
You know,
we're gonna link. There's a link to Jeff's email in the info section on the bottom of this. There's also my contact information. If you have any questions, if you have any topics that you want to go over here at Mortgage Mondays, we're always open to, you know, discuss any topics that you guys want to hear about. Jeff, thank you as always, man. His contact information is at the bottom. Like I said, you know, he's not seeing a lot of delays in any of his files if everything checks out the way the purchaser says it. And we'd like to see you guys participate a little bit more. Give us any comments. Thank you for all the people that have commented on our previous videos. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.